Okay, so I've been away a little bit, thinking about what to do next, and I'm thinking, okay, a couple things. One is, there could be multiple faults in this radio, and this is one of the weaknesses in troubleshooting a radio like this, is if there's more than one fault in the radio, and what's in your mind is you're looking for the one fault, the whole thing becomes pretty tough to sort out. So perhaps there's more than one fault in this radio. And number two, I don't think I've isolated the trouble quite as sharply as I could if I just put a little more effort into testing the radio. So with that in mind, I'm going to flip on my signal generator here. So maybe I need a more clear or certain result that proves the radio is functioning so far back in the radio. So what I think I'm going to try to do here is pump a signal into this coil. It's crazy because I've already run the IF through this thing and it went through like a hot knife through butter. But for all I know, that IF signal may have bypassed all the way up to here. I just think I need to repeat some of this and poke around a little more. Try to find the radio working fine here and then move back when there's not too far to move before discovering exactly where the radio stops working. So the good thing of that is if I can feed a signal in here and it comes out fairly nicely, then that kind of eliminates all this from being a problem. And much of this we can already eliminate. We can eliminate all this audio part at the end because it seems to be working fine. It's really about these RF tubes here, these RF circuits in here. That would be my plan. Let's see what happens as I implement it. Okay, so currently our signal generator is not connected to anything. It's just sitting here. Let me connect it to a probe here. Okay, so this is the output of the signal generator now. And it's tuned way up at 18 megacycles for the last place we had it running, which is not what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to tune it to 455 or so. And remember, the IF was way off too on this radio, at least way off from where it's supposed to be. I didn't hear a thing. I thought we heard something last time. We're all set here. It's pretty hard for me to not have a signal at the end of this if this is showing numbers. So I can be pretty reassured the signal is here. Now last time I think I stuck it in the antenna and it came right through. So let's try that. Let's start with that. Here we are here. Yeah. This is pretty interesting, that you can feed the IF signal right in the antenna. It comes right through the radio, loud and clear. It's way off frequency though, eh? It's supposed to be 456, and it's 20 kilohertz high. Now, there's a number of tuning elements that are all supposed to be tuned to 456, or at least tuned to the same thing. It doesn't have to be 456 exactly. If it's 480, fine, as long as they're all tuned to 480. The implication of doing that is your dial will not read properly, but the radio should still work. So there we are. The signal goes right to the radio. Let's try injecting it in more appropriate places. So one of them, of course, is right into the plate of the 6A7. Mr. 6A7. We're on full power here, by the way. And the plate we had determined, oh, can I remember now? The plate. Oh, for God's sakes. Yeah, I got a memory, but I don't trust my own memory. I get into trouble when I trust my memory. Pin 2 is the plate. So methinks this is the plate. No, that's the cathode. Things you don't want to hear your surgeon say. The plate is pin 2. Oh, that's right. It's buried down in the back there. So pin 2. There be the plate. Okay, so we're going to shove a signal into there. And before we do that, I'm just going to put a capacitor into my test lead here. Maybe unnecessarily, but I'm a scaredy cat here. I wonder if I really should be scared of hooking up my test equipment to moderate DC voltages. I would think it's all got internal protection, simple stuff. But okay, here we go. Turn down the volume here. Well, that sounds like loud and clear to me. Not so clear. I think I'm overdriving something, so I have to cut back the power a little bit here. Oh, what happened? What happened? I just touched the... Wow, something changed. Something changed in the radio when I touched that pin. It's no longer behaving the same. Yeah, I've had lots of situations over the years like this, where a momentary grounding or application of a voltage or just anything momentarily causes something to flip, to change. Now, I can guess a few things. Shorted capacitor, the short disappears, or the short appears at the moment you do that, because so many things can be on a hair trigger in a radio like this. Literally, things are just about touching but not quite. Things are blocked by tiny, tiny films in between them, stuff like that. Doesn't take much to disrupt it, change the situation. So that's my story. Does that have anything to do with what just happened here? I don't know. But that's what's going on in my head. Yes, there's stuff going on in my head. In case there's any doubt about it. Not necessarily good stuff, but stuff nonetheless. Okay. So let's go in there again. with our signal. The signal's up high. And we're getting no response. Okay, check the voltage. Let's check the voltage on there. Did that change? It's interesting, when I go to read this, it goes silent. That's very interesting to me. But that's a plate. That's a plate circuit. Why would a plate circuit want to go quiet? Because you stick basically a 10 megohm resistor on it. That's what my voltmeter looks like to it. So, back to the schematic we go. Now, before I knock down my camera here. So here's the plate. There's the resistor supplying the, well, you know, a 5 grid tube. I'm not sure which one's really the screen. It's pretty clear. Grid 1 and grid 4 are the control grids. Grid 5 should be a suppressor grid. And I would think maybe grid 2 is the screen grid. No, grid 2, I don't know. I don't know for sure. Grid 2 appears to be taking the signal out of the oscillator here and feeding it into the tube. So I think grid 2 is the oscillator grid. Grid 3, then that would become maybe a screen grid. But I don't know why the screen grid and this last grid 5 would be tied right together like that. I think it's right inside the tube too. I'm not sure it's even external to the tube. Anyway, here's a resistor is going to drop the supply voltage below the plate voltage, which is what you need. So it makes some sense there. Remember, we measured this at like 60. Well, this is up at 100, something of that sort. So it looks like this is a very high impedance circuit here, because I see it's isolated here, DC wise, isolated here, and this is going nowhere. And back here we come over here, look over here, come all the way back to the power supply. This is showing a big choke coil here, and the field coil. Choke coil. Choke coil. Did I miss something? I didn't see the... Usually a choke coil is a pretty substantial coil. Iron type coil. Oh, wow. Okay, maybe it's still not the right schematic. What am I missing here? Oh, I just have that terrible feeling. Okay, so it does look like this plate circuit is very, very high impedance, as far as I can make out. I'm not sure what to think of the fact that it's connected directly to this choke coil. I don't know what to make of it. I'm not going to study that now. I could always measure it, I suppose, but you know, something can be low impedance DC wise and high impedance AC wise in these radios. A lot of stuff is like that, and the other way around too. High impedance DC wise, but lower impedance signal wise. So what happened? We got a signal going in here, and now we don't. Let's look at that again. Maybe I can find another spot to stick the signal in. I could stick it in on the grid of the 6K7 on the other side of this coil, or just get right on that coil. Where are they? Where are those coils? Where are the coils? Well, they're right up in here. Here and here. Oh, they don't show through. Yes, they do. Oh man. Okay, that's not going to be easy. The pins don't show through, some wires come through. Yeah. Okay, so the best thing you can do is find a grid on the 6K7. Find the grid on the 6K7. 6K7 remote cutoff pentode used in RF and IF stages in radio receivers, particularly in those employing ABC. Okay. The grid. Oh, for crying out loud, it's got a grid cap. Didn't I say something about I'm always forgetting about that? Yes. I'm always forgetting about it. So it's easy to go on the grid of the 6K7. Easy schmeezy. It's easier to do that than it is to re-aim my camera. But that's just what I've done here. Okay. So, here's the signal wire, still connected through a capacitor. Get on the grid of the 6K7. There it is. It's not happy there. There it is again. Watch my fingers here. Okay, so this is telling me, this is what it's telling me, I don't know what it's telling you, but what it's telling me is this radio is really working quite well beyond this tube. That's not particularly new information, but it verifies. I fed the signal in here, we hear it right on the grid there, and I fed the signal in here, and we hear it. So let me feed the signal into one of the other grids on this 6A7. And like grid number 1. I did that and the thing went silent because grid number 1 is the grid cap. Hey! It's not quite silent. It's not quite silent. Look at this. Frequency now is 464. Now before it was 470 something, where we were getting a. I guess that's me detuning it with the actual test equipment I'm connecting up. Less so in this case, with it on the grid cap. Now, oh wait a minute, didn't we read on the 6A7 the grid cap was not the control grid? Or am I just making that up? 6A7, yeah, it's grid 4 that's on the control. Grid 4 is on the cap. Grid 1 is pin 5. Well, the grid cap in the circuit is coming from the antenna, and grid 1 is the oscillator. Quickly, Batman, to grid 1. Alright, good one. It's not pin 1. Mr. Short-Term Memory. I should really photocopy this and have it sitting here on my bench, shouldn't I? I have all these good ideas that no time for that now. 6A7. 5. Pin 5. Okay, so pin 5 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I can even hear the AVC work. See that? Look at that. Get the radio quiet down, and when I take it away, it'll slowly come back up. I think that's AVC working. Yeah, this radio's working great. It's working great, except it's not. So it looks like I'm right back to all this stuff. Okay, you know what? I'm going to shove a signal, I'm going to shove a regular radio signal into the antenna and reconvince myself this radio is not working. Isn't that getting kind of crazy? I think it's getting a little crazy. But maybe all it is alignment all this time. If I just carried on with some kind of alignment, I might bring the whole thing up to life. I think I took a little poke at that and it didn't seem to work that way. So okay, so now radio is on. Let's leave it on. So on the shortwave band, we're up around 17 megacycles. That's the old parlance for frequency. Oh, a little volume. Get out of here. You know what? Ever since I poked that pin and the radio's operating nature changed. This radio appears to be working properly. I just shoved the signal. It's a big signal, mind you, into the antenna. But listen to it. It sounds like a radio. Great. Let's just put it right on the antenna. Okay, so this is now connected to my outdoor antenna. Ah, that seemed like a particularly sensitive area right in there. Right in there. That happened to be where I just had the so if I come right in here, it's right around 17. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Am I crazy or something here? Let's see. Still all connected. Hey. Oh, I'm still on the antenna. That's why. But listen, I heard something. it go? Hey! It's fixed! It's fixed! I'm telling you. Don't anybody move. Quickly, where's my oh so handy tuning screwdriver here? Now these are oscillator adjustments, I'm pretty sure here. And these are RF antenna adjustments up here. It's a hair trigger tuning here. Very hard to tune. I should put a big knob on here.
The largest religion in the world. Yeah. And after God has scared me out the world, they couldn't have service enough for me. On Sunday, you can hardly get a seat. But on prayer night...
Well, there you go. It's fixed. Oh. Maybe there was nothing ever wrong with this. Right. Hey, where'd he go? Where'd he go?
People out around me. They ain't here without.
Hey, it's just fading in and out. Short wave, you know.
Lord, if it takes flash to find, I know you won't tell I found it. Yeah. All appetite. God Almighty took the taste of food from me. 5 days and nights. Never went without food in my life. If I'm sick.
I don't know what to think, man. Yeah, lots more adjustments in there to fool around with. Well, I think it's all a question of alignment again, and let's look at the dial accuracy here. I think we're just below 16. Hey, what's fading? How come it's not coming through? Oh, I know. Same problem. Don't have my signal generator connected. Let's try it now. There it is. The radio is showing sensitivity. I guess the fact that it picked up that short wave signal indicates something about its sensitivity. Now, that broadcast, you probably heard it was a religious broadcast. Those are normally coming out of the States, not far from me, well, 1,000 miles from here. But the signals are often very strong relative to everything else. So, if you're going to pick up one thing, it's going to be a religious station. So, I'm curious about this adjustment. You know, if these are the oscillator adjustments, then I shouldn't be afraid to align the set to the proper IF. That's really what we should be doing. And why is it when I fed in the signal, the IF signal on the antenna, it resonated at 475, and when I fed it in on the tube, it resonated at 460. I think anyway, feeding in on the antenna would be less disturbing to the radio circuitry, and you get a more realistic look at where it's tuned. Gee, I wonder if that's what's happened. The last person to do the alignment did it by connecting up to the tube and aligned things fine as long as he left his signal generator connected. When you remove the signal generator, destabilize the circuit or restabilize it in another spot, and voila, it's no longer tuned properly. Interesting questions. Now, normally the instructions are to go right on to one of the pins on the mixer tube. That's normally the instructions. And you know, when I connect to the antenna, I'm pretty close to doing that. Wow, let's repeat that whole thing again. Okay, so we're going to inject the signal via a capacitor into the plate of the 6A7. Oh, let's disconnect the antenna from the signal generator. Hey, it really sounds like a radio now, doesn't it? Yeah, why? I'm still suspicious about that contact that I touched back in here, that everything seemed to change after I touched it. Doesn't sound like a very permanent thing, does it? So, into the plate. No, there it is. It's very faint. 465. Let's go with that. So I'm going to clip lead in, and I'm going to do it with the radio off. Just a little bit concerned about all my fingers getting in there. Well, I don't need all my fingers in there. I'm trying to single hand this. Ow. No, it's just my finger giving out there. Okay, can't single hand it. Here we go. Get upon there. It's fighting me. Here we go. That's good. Okay. Back on. So this should put a nice clear signal into the radio at the IF frequency. We're injecting it now right into the plate circuit here. Yeah, I could see how this would disturb the resonance up in here a little bit. But let's go with this. No, let's continue the experiment here. That's what we get on the plate. What do we get when we drop it to the signal grid? In terms of a resonance point. So it's 465. And what is it supposed to be? It says on here 456. Not far off. So if we're going to try this into another spot, the easiest thing is just right into the antenna, or into this coil arrangement here. So let's try that. I'm going to leave that clip lead. You can hear the ABC again, right? Automatic volume control operating, and Lordy B, I'm running out of clip leads here. What don't I need? I don't think I need that. Famous last words, I don't need that. So now we're going to take the signal generator signal and stick it in this antenna coil arrangement over here. Better yet, why don't I think and connect it right to the grid cap? Yes, why don't you think? There we go. Just on the point of why don't I think, occasionally I'm doing this with buddies and stuff like that. Over the years, I've done lots of things with friends, and like Scotty on Tuesday nights. And I find when I'm doing this with somebody else, there's a lot more brain power. Two people is a lot more than two when you do this kind of stuff. It seems as if ideas work much better between two independent thinkers. I think three might be a bit of a problem. But so there we are. Now, what we're going to do, just based on earball, based on listening with my earballs, we will just find out if this on 465, I've kind of done this already. Pretty sure I couldn't peak it up at all. Well, I really brought the noise up, but it didn't do any good for the IF signal. What do you think of that? You know what I think is happening there? back and tuning it off the signal, the ADC is relaxing, the radio sensitivity is coming up, and I'm being fooled by that. So we really got to hear the signal, not the noise, even though the noise seems so much stronger. So let's go for the signal. Hello. Yeah, go for the signal. Where is the signal? Okay, I'm blasting in a big signal now. Doesn't seem to matter where you tune this. Isn't that interesting? Why in heaven's name would that be? What happened last time we had a coil that wouldn't tune? The coil was open. So I think I'm on this coil here. This transformer. And I'll take that back. I'm on the yeah, this is the right one. This is the transformer, the output of which goes to the grid of the 6K7. I can see that connection. Very good. Okay, we're engaged now. I find that very curious about why the signal's just impervious to it. Boy, have I got something totally turned around in my head here? No. 687. Ah, man, things just don't add up all the time when you're doing this kind of stuff. Okay, well, this has been 45 minutes to this point, so I think I'm going to stop the video here. And somehow we've made some progress. What exactly has happened here, I don't know for sure. Either I was entirely wrong the whole time and the radio was working, and this has happened to me a number of times along the way. Or when I touch that pin on the 6A7 and the radio seemed to change its operation, something happened there, and I don't know what. Strange stuff. So I think we'll leave it here for now, and I don't know. Can you tell I'm just kind of stumped here? Well, we'll see on the next video. There will be another video on this.